Okay.
So, hello everybody, and if you just saw my old YouTube video, that was the Banjo-Kazooie songs, and I'm actually here right now with the guy who did all of the songs, Grant Kirkhope. So, thank you so much for taking the time to sit here and talk to me. I watched some of your interviews, and I don't want to ask like the same repetitive questions, so I just kind of want to know about your job as a composer. I don't know any composers, so I just kind of want to know, did you always want to be a composer, and was that always something you wanted to do? And also kind of your story, your background, how did you get to be a composer?
I never wanted to be a composer. I never thought about it for 1 second. It was a really by complete fluke thing. I just went to school like everybody else. I played recorder and trumpet when I was a kid, like 4 years old, and played in like school orchestras and things like that. But when I was 12, I was classically trained trumpet player, but I was a self-taught guitar player. So like at 12, I started playing guitar, and I just wanted to be in metal bands. Really, that's all I wanted to do. I wanted to be in Judas Priest or Iron Maiden or something like that. That's my thing. I always wanted to be. So I did that for ages. And I went to music college and got my music degree. But I didn't want to play trumpet really. I kind of did it because it made money. But I wanted to be in a metal band forever. So I had a couple of like indie albums out with like metal bands years ago that didn't do very well. But I had a friend that I met in one of the local bands I played for in Yorkshire called Robin Beanland, who was a keyboard player, and he kind of wrote, started writing music for video games. Said, I want to work for video games. I was like, what? That's a job. And by complete fluke, he got the job at Rare. So I'd been on and off unemployment for about 11 years.
Oh, wow.
After I left university, I just kind of played in bands. Some of the
So it
bands
was still music though, always though. That
yeah,
was
yeah,
always the goal. The
yeah. I never had
dream,
a job.
music.
Never had an actual job.
No.
So I was playing in rock bands and stuff as from 22 to 33. And then some did well, some did bad. So he said, I kind of got to 33. He said to even at Rare a year and a half. He said, Grant, you've been on unemployment long enough. Don't you think you should try and get a job? So why don't you just try to do what I'm doing? So he kind of recommended me to buy a few bits of equipment. And I just started trying to write tunes for video games. Really, I was very bad at harmony at college. I failed all the exams. I kind of passed it by the skin of my teeth at the end of it. And then, so I sent Rare maybe 5 cassette tapes over the course of a year, hoping to get a job, and I didn't hear any reply at all. And then out of the blue, I got a letter saying, "Please come for an interview," and I got the job. And that was literally, it was a complete by fluke. I didn't think I could compose. I had no idea I could do it. I'm still not convinced I can do it.
Did you start out Rare right when they opened in 1984? Was it?
No, I
84.
started 95.
95. Okay.
Yeah,
85 or
in fact, to tell you
Oh,
what,
okay.
what's the date today? It's the third. So I started on October 15th, so 2 days' time I started there 20 years
Oh,
ago.
that's awesome. Have you ever composed anything that you look back at now and you say, "Oh gosh, why did I do that? That's just terrible," or do you always kind of have pride in what you do?
I got to say, on the video game side, not really. I've been very lucky that I've written stuff that I've liked, and I've liked the games that I've worked on. So I've not written anything that I really hate. I mean, some of the metal songs I wrote years ago, maybe they're a bit dodgy, but I think that I'm pretty proud of the stuff I've done for video games. And I've liked all of the stuff really. I've been very lucky.
Is being a composer competitive? Because I know I write and stuff, and I also know people that draw and sing and dance and stuff, and I know some of those are competitive fields. But do you think that being a composer is a competitive art form?
Yeah, I think it is definitely. I certainly, if you're gonna make a living out of it, like I'm trying to do, what I am doing at the moment, I think if you were writing for fun and you're just writing if you write like imagine like in the days of Mozart or something like that, and they wrote pieces probably just because they wanted to, and hoped it got performed by somebody and that kind of thing.
Right.
So I guess they got paid commissions maybe in those days. But I think for me, I do write music for a living, so I do get paid for it, and that pays my bills and keeps my wife and kids in food, etc.
Right.
So I guess it
Yeah.
is competitive. And I think, and I'm trying to get into movies too, so that's also very severely competitive.
Yeah.
And I think it's very hard to kind of work out the path you need to take to get into that thing. But I've got to say, I think the people that I know, the composers that I know well, like Austin Wintory and Danny Banosky and Jimmy Hinson and those kind of guys, we're all really good friends. So I don't think we consider ourselves to be competitors, even though we probably are.
Yeah.
But Austin just got to do Assassin's Creed, and I'm really pleased for him. He got to do that fantastic thing, So I think that Yeah, I guess, I think anything you do to make a living is going to be competitive no matter how you look at it, isn't it? It's going to be that way.
Yeah, and since you started back then and kind of technology has improved now and just a whole bunch of stuff, has being a composer, the actual job just kind of shifted within the years? Like, is there anything that's made a big change in how you make your work or anything like that?
I think the way I write has stayed identical. Like I don't have a really amazing process. I just really sit at a keyboard and mess around until I hear something that I like. I'm not really good like that.
No.
But I think technology side has changed a lot. And also I think that, writing music back for the N64, back in the Nintendo days, that back there, you had a very, people expected it to sound a bit poor quality because you couldn't get the big quality samples into the machine. There wasn't the memory space. I think that these days people expect things to sound very amazing. So you've got like huge, great orchestral sample libraries that can sound very real. So I think the composer you have to wear more hats. You have to be more of a producer and a better mixer and a better master and all that kind of stuff that I wasn't used to doing because I didn't have to do it back then. So I think that's changed a lot. People expect things to sound very real and very great now, which can take time. And sometimes you haven't got the time to do it. You've got time to write it and not time to polish it. Sometimes I've been looking at a lot of my stuff's gone to live orchestra recently, so I haven't had to polish my demos. But the MIDI mock-ups that I do have to be, very high quality. Well, I'm not saying they're great, but I do my best.
Yeah, well, I don't know, from all the modern games I've played even, I still have to say that all of your games that you've done are even better than what, say, come out like a month ago. They're awesome. Is there anything that you do to prepare yourself? Because for me, I gotta have, my coffee when I'm writing or anything like that, or just gotta get, in a quiet room and stuff, or is there anything that you do that you have to really put yourself in the mood to be able to write, or just come naturally, or...
I think, because I spent such a lot of time being a staff composer, like at Rare, I worked like 9 till 5. It was a job, right, for like 12 years. And then I went to Big Hughes Games for another 4 years. So I was a staff composer. So I think that got me into a really good habit of kind of starting at 9 in the morning and finishing at 6 or finishing at 5. So I got very used to that regimented work thing. So I think that's good for me now because it makes me, I've got to get up at 6:30 in the morning, get the kids to school anyway. So, I get up early. So I just kind of start, I get back from school, dropping the kids off, have a shower, and then start, at 8:30, 9 o'clock.
Oh, you don't work from home then?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay.
I drop the kids, I come back to my house and
right.
so I kind of start work at, like I say, 9ish because I'm a freelance composer now. So, so I just start at that time. But it got me in that habit of, having a very regimented work regime. Like I think sometimes people in the arts can have to wait for the inspiration to drop on them.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
So I think with me, I'm used to that, just kind of getting on with it.
So you got writer's block too?
I get that, but I think I'm just used to just going through it. I think I'm just, because I've done it so many times, I'm used to that. I don't mind that kind of thing. I think you can get very, very wrapped up in that. It's hard.
Yeah.
But I think because of that, I've been a staff composer all those years. I'm very regimented in how I do it. So it's kind of very workmanlike. I'm a very sit down. I'm writing music right now. I don't have to wait for the hand of the Lord to hand me a song. It's not like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. And what do you think the hardest part about being a composer is?
It's pleasing the people that you're working for is the hardest part. I think writing the music's all right. But I think sometimes working for people is hard because they, I think I always said to younger composers that I meet is remember that you are working for somebody who expects you to do a job for them, and you can have an opinion, but really you should probably write what they want, or they're just going to fire you and get somebody else to do it.
Right.
There's somebody else stood right behind you right now who'll do it right now.
Yeah.
And jump into your shoes. I think that it's easy to forget that. Sometimes, I'm a composer, I write music, and you don't know what you're talking about. You can't be like that because you're just going to get fired. I think, you have to kind of, remember that I have this analogy that, if you go to a restaurant, right, and you say to the guy, I want a steak, and he goes away and brings back chicken and says, actually, we think you're going to like this better. And you go, hang on a minute, I paid for the steak, I want the steak.
Yeah.
It's a bit like that. So I think when you write music for somebody, I always kind of hopefully they've got a strong idea about what they want to hear. And I say, send me a couple of YouTube links of tunes that you like, that are like this thing you want me to write. Give me a little pointer. Because the worst kind of person to work for, someone that says, can you write some music for us? We don't know what we want, we know it when we hear it. So you could be writing music for the next 50 years until they hear the thing that they like.
Yeah.
I think so the best people that I work for are the people that have at least an idea of how they want it to sound, or a style. I want it to be like Pacific Rim, or like Lord of the Rings, or Harry Potter, or, you get that kind of guide, so you kind of go, I know what they mean, So, yeah.
So when you write, you don't do your own thing, you actually have to get a guideline and then kind of go off of what they said, or?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. I mean, obviously you do write I write the way I write, so my style is I guess it's a bit recognizable.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
Yeah,
Like
so I
definitely
guess
like when you work with Rare, like Donkey Kong and Banjo and all of that, and even some of the ukulele tracks that I've heard kind of get that feel. And
Yeah, so I think I think I do that thing for that kind of style of game. But I've done stuff for like Civilization and
yeah, yeah,
Kings
that's
of
different.
Amalur. That's more orchestral, big kind of grand stuff. So I think that when you're writing for a big RPG like Kings of Amalur, it's going to be Lord of the Ringsy, Harry Pottery, and you're writing for Civilization, it's going to be a bit more. Well, it's Beyond Earth, so it's kind of spacified, all that kind of stuff. So I think that's quite easy. It's when you get people that don't really know what they want. That they're the hard ones to work for. But I think I do think that any composer worth the salt, if someone says to them, it's a haunted forest or it's a creepy castle or it's a ice cave, you instantly think in your head what you're going to use. If it's an ice cave, I'd think like pizzicato strings and
Yeah.
celeste and spiky instruments and you know what I mean, or a forest to be nice and warm and flutes and bassoons and that kind of thing. So I think that you do. Yeah, I think you get in your mind's eye, you get an idea straight away most of the time.
So out of everything that you've ever done, what would you say that's most memorable to you?
My favourite thing really has always been doing Viva Pinata, the second one, because I did that. That was my first time using orchestra, and I wrote a track up for that game called Bedtime Story, which is kind of my favourite piece of my own. And that's a very kind of slow, emotional thing. I know I was leaving Rare at that point, so I was really sad. I kind of handed in my resignation. I didn't want to be there anymore, and it was a very sad time for me. And writing that tune, kind of, I poured my entire heartbreak into that tune. So that's kind of my favourite thing on my own that I've done, I think.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of rumors going around that you got fired, so that's not true. You're the one who
No.
left. No, okay.
No,
Okay.
no. Honestly, I would tell you if I got fired. I chose to resign. You can ask anybody at Rare to tell you that. I mean, Robin Beanland's still there. He was my boss. Handed him a letter to say I want to leave.
Yeah.
So it was really sad. I love being at Rare. It's my favourite thing in the world to be at ever. And it was such a great place, and it just kind of wasn't the place that I remember it being when I started. I just thought it's time to leave.
Yeah, as a Banjo fan, I just want to know, like, what's your favorite Banjo song that you did from either of the games?
I really like Mad Monster Mansion a lot.
Yeah?
And I like, but I also like Atlantis. In the second game. When you
Yes! Oh my gosh, yeah, that's my second favorite one. Yeah,
really? What's
yeah.
your favorite?
Freeze Easy Peak, just because I love Christmas.
Yeah, no, I like that one too. I listen to that a lot. Like, if it's Christmas time, it's great. The kids like dancing around to it, So yeah, I like that one too.
I just love the internet so much because I've been, like, since 1998, I've just been listening to your tracks. Obviously, I didn't really know, like, who you were at the time. I think it's so great that we can actually be, like, doing this even though we're from, like, other parts of the world.
Right.
Yeah. So what kind of advice would you have to give to someone who wants to follow their dreams as, like, a composer or anything? What's that one piece of advice that you've learned over the years?
Well, I think the first thing is to remember it's really hard. Like, it's really, really hard. You have to dedicate your entire existence to it. There's no way around it, especially to get in these days. I mean, I started 95, so that's a long time ago, 20 years ago. So I wouldn't know how to start these days. But I think that you have to be determined, right? You really have to be absolutely determined. I mean, I use Danny Baranowski a lot as an example because Danny was the kind of guy who, he did chitty jobs in Lowe's and worked in Home Depot or whatever, all that kind of thing, and dreamt of being a video games composer.
Who is
And
that?
his first, Danny Baranowski did Super Meat Boy and Binding of Isaac. Maybe you don't know who he is.
No, I actually never
All right.
heard of his name.
He's
I'm
a
sorry.
big indie composer. He just
Okay.
did Crypt of the Necrodancer. So Danny's quite a famous indie composer and a very good composer. And we're good friends. But he's a good example because he was the kind of kid that just wanted to do it, right? And he sent his first track into Overclock Remix and, didn't like it. And then he finally got a track on there that they featured. And then somebody heard it and then they asked him to do a game called Cannibal, which kind of got him launched into his career. So, like, he really just wouldn't take no for an answer and just went for it. I mean, I still fight with that now. I'm trying to do movies now, so it's very difficult. It's hard to get in that door and to try. There's always the next ledge to kind of to reach for. But I think as a new composer, like, remember, just always say yes. No matter what they ask you, to say, yeah, I'll do it, no matter what it is. And because it's the guys that go, next guy.
Yeah.
It's like that. Don't, even if you don't know how to do it, I always say, someone says to me, can you write, heavy metal reggae? And I've got no idea what it is. I'll say, yeah, my favorite thing. I do it all the time.
What if you mess up and, like, what if you look like an idiot or something? I'm always afraid of that. I need to get out of my comfort zone. I'm always just like, it's not that I don't want to say yes. It's just I just fear looking dumb, I guess, or not knowing.
No, but what you do is you say yes and you go away and learn it, right?
Yeah.
That's what you go to YouTube, you got Google, type it in and learn it. Like that nobody knows everything. It's impossible. So like when someone says to you, can you just do it? Just say yes. Just say yes all the time. It's the only way. Because the minute you show any doubt, they'll just find somebody else.
Yeah.
So like that's super important. Second thing is like don't argue with the creative director. Like I said before, don't argue with them. Just go, yeah, I'll do what you want because you have to do that.